Hello, everybody. Happy game day. I am Kendall Smith alongside of Wes Mitchell, and we are here presenting you before the Sandstorm. And Wes, I see the eye roll there. It's not appreciated because I think this name is fantastic. We had several GC subscribers mention calling this show before the Sandstorm. But why are you so opposed to the name? You're saying it's a working name, so we might actually be changing it. But for this week, it's before the Sandstorm.
Yeah, I know in your other videos you like to pop little things up. Can you pop up the little rolling eyes emoji
Yes,
beside my face as you say it? Yeah, just right there. I mean, it's not a bad name. I know you paid some of our subscribers to say that last week, which, I mean, I respect the hustle there. Like, that's cool. I feel like we can go better, maybe a little less corny, but, I mean, and there's not, like you said, there's not going to be many sandstorms at ECU. For home games, it works, but I guess it's okay. We'll roll with it. We'll make the content so good that the name doesn't matter.
All of the money that I spent on paying off our subscribers to say before the Sandstorm, I'll say their checks are in the mail because that money is probably non-existent, to be honest with you. But the check is in the mail for everybody who said before the Sandstorm. But regardless, the name doesn't matter. The content of the show is what matters. And this week, we're talking all about South Carolina's matchup at ECU in Greenville, North Carolina, my home state, the Tar Heel State. So, Wes, start us off. Tell us what you know about ECU.
Yeah, they really struggled last week. Like, I think not the season opener that they expected. We talked to some people up there that cover the team earlier this week, and they're like, nothing went right for this team last week. Really, App State controlled that game throughout. I look at them, and their success is really based around their quarterback, Holton Ahlers. You heard, Shane Beamer really just praised the guy up and down this week on his call-in show, on his press conference. So I think for them, it's all about, can he carry their offense? Can he put them in position to make plays? App State sort of harassed him all game long and sort of kept him from being able to do that. They have two pretty good running backs. Defense struggled last year. They were hopeful that it'd be better this year. Week one, it wasn't necessarily better. We'll see if it is this week. So I think it's a weird game for South Carolina. You don't really quite know what to expect on both sides at this point.
Shane Beamer's talked about it all week, having that healthy respect for ECU. And you and I talked about it before we clicked record for this show. This is literally like the Super Bowl for East Carolina. I have several friends that go to ECU. I know that they're flying in DJs from across the country for these big tailgates. They have been ready for this game for years. So kind of talk about what you think that environment's going to be like for South Carolina. Do you think it will be a shock walking into a school like ECU that's not in a Power 5 conference and seeing this huge crowd that's just amped up for this game against a Power 5 school?
Yeah, and I think the first time they've had an SEC school come in forever. So if you're an ECU student there, you haven't seen an SEC school come into your place. So got to be exciting. I mean, if you think, if you're a freshman at South Carolina, if you're a sophomore at South Carolina, because obviously the stadiums weren't packed last year, or if you're one of these transfers that we've talked about coming in, if you're an older guy, you've not played in an atmosphere like that. So I think dealing with that, South Carolina made some mistakes last week, even at home. Does that get ramped up a little bit this week because of the atmosphere, because of not being able to communicate quite as well as you can at home? So I think that's a big key for South Carolina, is just to manage the atmosphere, manage communication, manage some of the mistakes they had last week, and not let this crowd get to them. And you can't gift things to ECU. What I mean by that is you're going to have to make them earn it. If something goes really well for ECU early on, that's just going to rev this crowd up even more, let them get into it. If ECU keeps hanging around, then this crowd is going to keep hanging around as well. If you're South Carolina, you want to get off to a good start, maybe quiet the crowd down a little bit and sort of take control of this game. Because I do think there's going to be a lot of Gamecock fans there too.
I agree. I do think there will be a healthy amount of Gamecock fans there, but this week is an excellent test, especially with next week. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but South Carolina traveling to Athens, Georgia to take on the Bulldogs in a primetime game at 7 p.m. in Sanford Stadium. So this game definitely going to set up the Gamecocks for a huge game, their SEC season opener the week following. But you talked a little bit about the keys to success there, Wes, for the Gamecocks. Do you have any more key matchups that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I look at South Carolina's defensive line, Kendall. we've talked about them all offseason. J.J. Nigbare, Jordan Burks, Zach Pickens, Jordan Strong. These guys are a strength of South Carolina's defense. And when I watched ECU last week, their offensive line really struggled against App State, I thought. So this is another opportunity for South Carolina's defensive line to take over a football game. I think if they can do that, again, harass Holton Ahlers, their quarterback, then that to me is the single biggest key for South Carolina, because all the other things we're talking about, forcing turnovers, putting ECU in situations to be behind the sticks, and not letting those running backs get going, because they have two pretty good running backs at ECU as well. All that, to me, comes back to South Carolina's defensive line. I look at Zach Pickens, a guy who I thought quietly had a really good game last week as well. Can he get into the backfield, create some negative plays, and really put ECU behind the sticks? Because this is an offense that they can move the football, they can make big plays, but if you you almost take their consistency away from them if you can put them behind the chains, 2nd and 13, 3rd and 15, stuff like that. So there's a lot, we could give 10 keys to victory, but if South Carolina's defensive line takes over the game, which I think they can, then that means South Carolina will win this football game.
You talk about the defense there. Let's talk about the offense. A couple of question marks heading into this week, the big one being at quarterback. And I want to make sure that I have this right. On Thursday during Carolina Calls, Shane Beamer spoke on Luke Doty, saying he was running around in pads but was a little bit sore. He mentioned that they want to make sure Doty is 100% healthy before putting him on the field. So do you think we'll see Zeb Noland back in that starting position? Do you think we'll see Doty at all this weekend at ECU?
Yeah, it's a great question, Kendall. Earlier in the week, I would have leaned towards, probably, if you said who you think is going to start, my opinion probably would have leaned towards Luke Doty. As the later in the week we have gone, the more I am leaning towards Zeb Noland getting the first shot at it. Whether or not Doty plays at all, I think will literally depend on how he feels this morning. How does he feel in warmups? Is he available to South Carolina? Because, I take them at their word when they say they want him to be 100%. That means literally 100%, not 96%, not he's almost there. You don't want to put him in a situation where he gets hit on that foot again and then ends up sort of erasing all the progress he's made for the last few weeks. And, the thing about a foot or ankle or any type of lower leg injury is that the entire rest of your leg sort of responds to the fact that you've been immobilized in your foot for a decent period of time. So you're waiting on all your muscles. You're waiting on the stiffness to get out of that thing. That soreness is probably from him really pushing it this week in practice for the first time and sort of testing it. So if I'm South Carolina, if Doty wakes up this morning, there's still soreness, he still doesn't feel quite 100%, I think they're going to be very, very careful about how they use Doty, if at all, today. So my prediction probably leans towards Noland starting and then Doty either getting in there if he feels great or just holding him another week if he doesn't.
I agree. I think we'll see Zeb Noland starting once again, and I think they may work Luke Doty in depending on the situation of the game, depending on how much South Carolina might be up or whatnot, and also, of course, relying on how good Doty might feel. I am sticking with you there, agreeing that Zeb Noland will start once again for South Carolina. Still the craziest story. I can't believe he went from a graduate assistant to the starting quarterback of a Power 5 team. But we've got to talk about another group on the offense, and that's the running backs. Kevin Harris back this week for the Gamecocks. Do you think we'll see Zaquandre White start once again for South Carolina? And what do you think that running back situation will look like?
Yeah, it's a great problem to have if you're South Carolina. You really go about 4 deep now in that running back room. And, I think Z White gets to start again. He's been taking a lot of first-team reps this week again in practice. And, he's earned it. You give the guy the start last week. He rushes for over 100 yards. He actually was your leading receiver as well. Marcus Satterfield had a pretty strong quote this week in the coordinator press conferences when he said, I can't imagine going out there without this kid. So I know we get caught up in what Kevin Harris did last year. We all get caught up in Marshawn Lloyd being a former 5-star prospect. But Zaquandre White has stepped up, in the absence of Kevin Harris to start the year. Marshawn Lloyd's still feeling his way out, I think, in there. I think all these backs are going to play. But I think White will get the start. And then whoever gets to stay hot, whoever's making plays, I think it'll sort of be one of those things where it's sort of an even distribution at the beginning, but then whoever is making plays, whoever's sort of finding a little bit of a rhythm. Because the cool thing about these backs, Kendall, they all have different styles. So maybe one week this style works a little bit better against your opponent. Maybe the next week this other style works a little bit better. It'll be up to Montario Hardesty, the running backs coach, to try to keep all these guys happy. But I know South Carolina fans, I feel like almost get nervous about that, Kendall. But this is how it's supposed to be. You want to have great depth across the board. So the running back position, you think Alabama fans are worried, oh, we have too much talent at running back.
Right.
No, be happy that you have some great talent in that room. And I think everybody, as this year goes on, each one of those guys will get their chance to shine.
That's a great point, Wes. Let's talk game predictions now. So the point spread has been all over the place for this game predictions. Whatever the betting is, like, I don't really keep up with sports betting, but I do know for this game it has literally been all over the place. So for you, what is your score prediction for this South Carolina ECU game?
I do have South Carolina winning the game. I've gone back and forth between will they sort of pull away, or will it be a really tight game, which I think would be really scary for South Carolina fans out there watching. I have it as 31-20 South Carolina, maybe a little bit of a homer pick. But I did think it was interesting that, like you said, the betting lines have been really tight one way or the other. ESPN's FPI, which is sort of an analytical look at the game, it actually has South Carolina as a 71% favorite, which is actually pretty high. Usually you see the betting lines, because all that stuff is an analytical take on the game as well, match up with ESPN's FPI predictor. Well, this week they're very much off. So could ECU make this a really close game, pull out an upset? Absolutely. Every game is going to stand on its own merit. If South Carolina turns the football over, makes a lot of mistakes, then yes, it could get ugly. It could be a bad day. But at the end of the day, I think South Carolina has more talent. I think the defensive line takes over the game. And I think those running backs we just talked about are going to have another huge afternoon for South Carolina in this case. So, yeah, Gamecocks 31, ECU 20. We'll see if I'm right.
A huge day ahead for the South Carolina Gamecocks. As we mentioned earlier this week on Gamecock Central, a measuring stick game for sure for the Gamecocks. We'll see, based off of this game, in my opinion, how well they might be able to compete in SEC play. We have so much in store on Gamecock Central for you all today. Please be sure to keep up with it. I will be at ECU along with Colin Taylor and Michael Sauls. We're going to be bringing you all of the updates you could possibly need and more from Greenville, North Carolina. I'm excited, Wes. I have a lot of friends, like I said, they go to ECU. They've been talking smack, and they have been making me feel like they have prepared for this game now, like I said, for years on end. But we have to go in there, South Carolina does, and prove that we can handle it even in Greenville, North Carolina.
Well, and I've heard, maybe you can verify this for me, that maybe people need to follow Gamecock Central on TikTok now as well, because that is where the behind-the-scenes content will be coming from. We'll have social media content on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, all weekend long. I know that yourself and Michael and Colin will do a great job up there, and it should be an exciting weekend for South Carolina fans, and hopefully for all of our readers and watchers on Gamecock Central as well.
Yes, follow us on TikTok. You don't want to miss this. I know TikTok is the new kid on the block in terms of social media. I'm a big TikTok fan, so I'll actually be doing a day in my life at ECU reporting on college football. So you don't want to miss out on that. We've got behind-the-scenes content, live streams, post-game shows, articles, videos, everything you could want literally coming on Gamecock Central this weekend. That's why we're the best, Wes. I mean, Gamecock Central, it's just elite. So if you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe today.
Yeah, and Kendall, I gotta say again, TikTok Gamecock Central, Twitter at Gamecock Central, Instagram at Gamecock Central, and yeah, I'm excited. Week 2, let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, thank you all so much for tuning into Before the Sandstorm. Again, if you have any more name recommendations, Wes is making me ask for them. So if you want this show to be called anything but Before the Sandstorm, let us know down below. But thank you all so much for tuning in. It's week 2. We'll keep you updated on Gamecock Central, so stay with us.